declaration?
Yeah, we can do it.
What is it?
Hello, everyone. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Councilmember Danielle.
Present.
Councilmember Easton.
Here.
Councilmember Rye.
Here.
Councilmember Foreman.
Here.
Supervisor Alba.
Here.
Thank you.
Just have to add one item for special consideration, resolution approving the performance security agreement for Watchtower Bible and Track Society of New York, Inc. Present that as a motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Do we take the tree thing off?
Okay.
Okay. Aye.
I didn't think so.
Oh, I got on. Wait a minute, am I on?
Next up is acceptance of minutes, Town Board regular meeting, August 16, 2023. I presented a motion. Can I have a second? Second. Comment, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, before I go to the public hearing, I'd just like to let Legislator
Take it in.
Valdez Smith come
Thanks.
up and speak.
Oh.
Wait, what happened? Oh, you got,
It's going to be about the bridge thing here.
Thank you all. Thank you all for having me here. It's always a pleasure to get to see all of you. I am the county legislator for the town of Fishkill, District 16, and that's why I don't get to be here a lot with you all. I'm often up in the county building, so it is an honor to be here, and it is a pleasure to get to join you. And just thank you for all the work that all of you do in this town. But I am here tonight not only as a county legislator, but as a community member, a mom, a teacher, a wife, and a friend. James Mosman Sr. was born right here in 1934, right here in Glenham, and served our country proudly and in many, many ways. He passed on Christmas in 2022 and is mourned and he's missed by his family, friends, and so many in our community. He started volunteering at the firehouse here when he was 16 years old and continued until he was 84. What an example. Volunteerism, I believe, is at our core, every patriot American's core. It is one of the reasons why I brought my oldest son here tonight, because we volunteer often together, but I want to instill in him the example set by James Mosman Sr. I think all of our young people deserve that. They deserve to see that example. He was a veteran, a volunteer, a husband, a father, and a loving grandfather. Such an example for our young people. He served as fire commissioner at the Slater Firehouse, and his belief in volunteerism is an ember that I believe will continue to burn strong. I personally know the Mosmans through my work with them at Stony Kill Farm. And of course, through our neighborhoods and just through our community, as many of you, I know, also know them. I would like us to honor the memory of James Mosman Sr. by renaming both sides of the roadway before the new Washington Avenue Bridge. I've already requested this through the DPW and the county, but I believe that it's the town that can make those roadway signs possible and honor the memory of this incredible icon and legend of a human being from Fishkill, our home. I've spoken to his children and his granddaughter, and the family would also be very happy to see this done. For someone who has given so much to us, I think we can remember this incredible man in this way. He deserves this honor and so much more. Thank you so much for your time. It's always truly an honor to be in front of all of you.
Thank you.
thank you, Yvette.
Thank you, Yvette. That's good. All right, next up is a public hearing regarding Dutchess Park sewer consolidation. Mr. Gavin, can we do both at the same time?
You really
No.
should do them separate.
No.
Okay, so the first one will be ID number 8811, public hearing regarding Dutchess Park Sewer District consolidation. Make a motion to open the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wish to speak about sewer, not water, sewer?
Good evening,
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Silvestri. I represent the Roundabout Fire District, and I understand this sewer and water consolidation, and the Roundabout Fire District would like to become consolidated and become part of it and not an outside tenant of it, considering the fact that we're doing all these improvements and with the water and sewer system, bringing it on the south side of 52, and we just like to be considered to be included in that consolidation, not excluded.
What?
My understanding is that the firehouse and the additional property, the gas station property, are not currently outside users in the district. Therefore, they haven't been included in the map plan and report, which is what we're holding the public hearing on tonight. The board should move forward with this consolidation. Afterward, we can make arrangements to include the firehouse property and the gas property. But if you were to do that now, you'd have to start all of this from scratch. We'd have to renotice the public hearing. We'd have to prepare a revised map plan and report. For two properties, I mean, it's your decision, of course.
No.
This doesn't make sense. So they'll
how
get where they
fast-
want to go eventually, but they're not going to get there tonight.
So how fast can we move to get them in the district? This gets approved tonight. Can we move?
We have to
get that
repeat
done?
you have to repeat the process. It'll be a much smaller map plan report. It's only two properties.
Okay.
We'll have to have another EAF, and we'll have to notice another public hearing, 30 days, 60 days. It depends
Okay.
on how quick you can put together the documents for it. But
And
you really,
the town board can do that? We can do that?
oh, sure.
Okay. So we'll get you in there.
Okay.
Yep, water and sewer. Mr. Gallo, both water and sewer, correct?
Well, eventually, yeah, right now, we're just dealing with sewer. So, I mean, when the time comes for water, we can look at that as well, but right now, we don't have that.
Okay.
You're looking at Brinkerhoff, right?
Pardon?
Brinkerhoff, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Well, that's the next public hearing. It's the same answer.
Okay.
So we have to put you in after we close this and then work to get you in.
Okay.
How many months that would take?
Well, it depends on how quickly you can put together the map plan and report, but assuming that you can knock that out in time for your next meeting, you could have that in place, maybe the second October meeting, you understand. You could have that in place and filed with the clerk then, have the order calling the public hearing. In 30 days, you hold the public hearing, and when you close the public hearing, you can adopt the order approving the extension. If they submit the petition, it's not subject to permissive referendum. If the town prepares the petition, it is subject to permissive referendum. So that might be an additional 30 days tacked on. But I mean, worst case scenario, the end of the year, January at the latest.
Definitely get you in there.
That's
And you want
reasonable.
water and sewer, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because we are developing the water and sewer per town specs, so.
We're all good with that. Brian?
Sure.
John? Clara? Louise? Yeah, we're all good with that.
Okay,
Excellent. Thank you for coming. Anybody else like to speak about sewer?
thank you.
Thank you.
Dan.
Anybody else want to speak about sewer? Any board member wants to speak about sewer? Make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is ID number 8833, public hearing regarding Brinkerhoff Water District consolidation expansion. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
And this is the opportunity to speak about water. Anybody? We heard you the first time. We got you. Anybody with questions on the board?
No.
Make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any new employees? I don't see any. All right, now privilege of the floor for general town items. It's the opportunity for the public to speak about anything regarding the town of Fishkill. Anybody wish to speak?
That was him.
Hang in there. You give me mine too, so don't worry about it.
Hi, good evening. Keith Riley, co-president of the Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot. I was unable to attend the August meeting, but I'd like to clarify some of the statements regarding the petition that was submitted by our organization. While listening to the meeting being streamed, I was frustrated when I heard Mr. Gabra's legal counsel to the board. At the meeting, Mr. Gabba advised that our petition was, quote, an appeal that had no legal merit, end quote. And this was later reiterated by Councilman Rye. This misinformation by the attorney may have been the reason for the tabling of our petition in December. I'm still not sure if Mr. Gabba's counsel was out of sheer incompetence or if it was his intent to misinform. From my observations, it could be a little of both. So for the record, our petition signed by over 400 people states that the town board adopt a resolution authorizing the town's legal representation to commence court proceedings seeking to reverse a ruling in the 2022 case ordering the town to extend water and sewer districts in extensions to the Continental Commons property. Nowhere in our petition is the word appeal used, because we are painfully aware that this board let that time expire. We were careful with our wording because the judge ruled in 2022 that, quote, it's clear that substantial evidence does not support respondents' denial of the application, end quote. Now, according to my research on the Cornell Law School website, a time to file with the judge can occur with newly discovered evidence. In June 2023, this town board was presented with evidence that Continental Commons is beyond capacity by 58,513 gallons of water per quarter. Also, new evidence at the August meeting, Rob Bucheri, my fellow co-president, presented that Councilman Foreman had not disclosed a political contribution to Dominic Broccoli and later voted in favor of not appealing. So with this substantial new evidence, the town should immediately reverse the approval of Continental Commons. The case could then go back to the New York State Supreme Court, where the judge could make her decision based on this new evidence. But instead, the petition was tabled until December. So the question I have is, why wait until December? But really, I don't have to wait because I know the answer. We all know the answer here. The majority on this board are willing to appease one outside developer out of fear, convenience, and corruption, and all at the taxpayer expense. The voters of Fishkill are watching, and what they see is disturbing. They see Mr. Gaba never spending a second of his work hours to advocate for the Fishkill taxpayer. They see Mr. Foreman intimidate the signers of our petition. We talked about that last meeting. Then, last week they saw the pathetic planning board waive deadlines for Dominic Broccoli to rush approval for Continental Commons within a mere 3 minutes and 55 seconds. I had a timer out, I did the stopwatch, from the time he went around passing it out to 3 minutes and 55 seconds, they approved it. No one said anything on behalf of the taxpayer, no one said anything about water capacity, it was just rubber stamped. And there's more. So after agreeing to an ethics resolution that was unanimously approved at the last meeting, they see John Foreman reuniting with his buddy, his old campaign donor, Mr. Broccoli, right outside this very parking lot, I assume celebrating the big win at the planning board meeting for all of Fishkill to see. So the voters here, and especially those watching at home, know the majority on this board sold out long ago. The majority on this board are willing to placate one man at the expense of everyone else in Fishkill. As a result, this planning board will never act on our petition. It is their hope that this new evidence will never get to the judge. But you can't bury the truth. Changes to this board are coming. The Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot have faith that the future board will restore justice for all. If not so tonight, the voters of Fishkill will remember in November. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else would like to speak? Anything about agenda items only? I apologize. Anything
No,
regarding the
anything
town of
about
Fishkill?
anything.
You?
Speak about the complaining of the highway department.
Not yet. Ms. LaGoy? I'll get you.
Thank you, Keith. That was, I concur. In mid-August, I approached you on behalf of the Keep Fishkill Beautiful Committee with a request to assist your constituents with their concerns surrounding the proposed Jackson Crossing development. As you are all well aware, traffic is one of, if not the top concern among residents, visitors, workers, and shoppers. We are simply asking for an expanded and comprehensive traffic study, and we are asking you to ask on our behalf. I was encouraged by the reception of some of the town's representatives. Sadly, I have been made aware since then Public and paid officials have been actively discouraging residents from questioning the logic of this project. Regurgitated legal terms such as right to use, used by ill-informed representatives to essentially intimidate reasonable residents, is inexcusable. Using terms such as "it's a done deal" comes from a place of unwillingness to stand up for yourself and for your constituency. A simple ask for an expanded and more comprehensive traffic study is perfectly reasonable. So I am here again today to ask our representatives to actually represent. I also want to take something, I've been trained very well by one of my mentors: do not ever make an accusation or a statement without being able to back it up. I have been here, I've been to the village, we have been on social media. The planning board of the village absolutely has the authority to say no to this project and send this developer back to the drawing board. And I'm going to read a couple things, and this absolutely pertains to the town. As you all know, we are vastly impacted by their decisions. In their E-code, multiple family dwellings, 171-86C, there shall be no first-floor resident units permitted in any buildings that face Main Street in the Village Center Business District, except west of Jackson Street, where it shall be allowed subject to planning board approval. G, the maximum building height in the Village Center Business District zoning district shall be 35 feet, changed from 32 feet, by the way, except that a building height of 40 feet shall be permitted west of Jackson Street, subject to planning board approval. There is a public hearing tomorrow night, September 21st, at the Village Hall. I know you've already got it on your calendar, Mr. Rye, so I'm excited to see you there.
Well,
And
I've got a little work obligation, and
oh, okay, I'm disappointed,
one has to pay
but
bill until this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
I've got a job,
okay.
so sorry about that.
Just going off what you said last
I
meeting.
know. And things change, and you have to.
So
That's all there is to it.
I don't understand that.
Well, that's all there is.
And what it sounds to me is like you're kind of backing away from your statements.
And you know me. We have fought.
I do know you.
Development several times.
I do
That's
know you,
incorrect.
and it sounds to me like you're backing up.
No, that's incorrect.
I can read a statement for you if you'd like,
Correct.
because you're allowed to do that. So if you want to write a statement, I'm happy to read it on your behalf at the
Maybe
meeting.
you'll be surprised later.
So I'd also would like to read something else. And this just really, it goes with, representation. It's about representation. And we are depending on our board members to represent. So the issue in regards to having residences down on the ground floor facing Main Street, and why that's such a sticking point, is because the county actually recommended against doing that because residences on the ground floor have a tendency to deaden business. So one of the big arguments that they're making is, well, there's not going to be any difference in traffic. Maybe it's not going to be any difference in traffic because the business won't be there. But the county actually recommends that they not do that. Where you have the authority is to simply ask. We want an expanded traffic study to include the residents that are absolutely impacted by this potential development. So it just really seems a lot like, again, and the town of Fishkill is not alone in this, although things have been changing, it very much feels like representatives are actually catering more to business developers rather than their constituents. And so this is a simple ask
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Boyd. Anybody else? Okay. Next up is liaison member reports. Louise?
I attended the first San Gennaro Feast luncheon yesterday at the Rec Center. It was great Italian food and music. Great work as usual by Mary Ann, Jay, and Lauren, and all of the senior helpers. I think everybody really liked it. This was the first time they ever did that, so they had choices of sausage and peppers, meatball subs, and chicken parm. It was very good. For water, I received positive feedback from constituents who received their water bills and appreciated the update on all of the water and sewer districts in our town that the supervisor included in this quarter's water bill, which is here. So for anybody who does not pay a water bill, if you would like to read about what the supervisor wrote, I'm sure Greg will have a copy of it. If you reach out to him, he can get it to you. For the planning board, I attended the meeting on September 14th. As I left the meeting, a citizen walked out with me, and we both observed a council member in the parking lot speaking to the same developer that he received campaign cash from. Unfortunately, this was the constituent that the council member visited his home about him signing a petition about the developer's project. I bring this to light to continue to speak about how we should all be transparent, on camera and off camera. Last night, September 19th, I attended the zoning board meeting and was glad to see a supermajority of the board move forward for a sign variance on one of the projects. Our sensory playground is finally complete and looks great. Thank you, Brandon, and all of the guys from the buildings and grounds for all of their attention they put into painting everything. I'm reaching out to some people to invite a small group of children so we can have an opening day for it. When I have the date, I will advise the board. I am so happy to have been a part of all of the upgrades that have been made to make our parks beautiful since I have been on the board for the past 4 years. We literally went from a rusty, fenced-in area with broken-down tennis nets that look like an abandoned and undesirable area. This is not a reflection on the buildings and grounds guys, as it was a prior supervisor who didn't want to invest in our parks as we have. So thank you to the supervisor for allowing me to continue the sensory playground to its conclusion with many obstacles throughout the years. We have made this a priority to finish, and thank you to Carmine also, who assisted me the past year or so in making sure everything was done. This is the part of the liaison reports where council members just say where they have been since the last meeting, so here are mine. I attended a garden club meeting on September 12th. The Harvest Fest will be at Stony Hill on September 30th. It is a very popular event. I will forward Greg the flyer so that he can post it. I've heard from many residents, including some at meetings, who were very happy to hear about our ethics law and feel the disclosure form is needed to ensure board members will be more transparent, especially when it comes to disclosing information before voting. I went to a Renegades game on Thursday, September 7th. I went to another one on Friday, September 8th. That was Snooki night. We all sat there in the rain for over an hour, and then it was canceled. I went to another Renegades game on the 15th, and then they moved on to the playoffs. I went to the first playoff game on the 17th. Unfortunately, they lost, and that was the last home game for the season. They lost the playoff game last night in North Carolina, but I look forward to the next season, and I just want to say, way to go, Gades. And lastly, I encourage everyone to go to the Rombout Firehouse Pancake Breakfast this Sunday morning. Thank you.
Well done. Carl?
Yes, there's a couple updates. Good evening, everybody. Jean Van Pelt Park is going to be paved tomorrow, along with Petticoat Lane. So hopefully that'll be all done tomorrow. So it'll be good to get those roads and those park open for the schools. Yeah, sure, and the people that live there, like Becky said. Also, update, of course, Councilwoman Daniele talked about the Century Park. It is done, and it's looking fantastic. We're going to take some aerial photos very soon. The rec roof and railing. Our rec roof is looks like it's going to be postponed into next year. We had to do some engineering, some seismic wind, and if there's any hurricanes, tornadoes that came up, how it can hold up. So
It's ridiculous.
we are going to have to encumber that money for that and push it toward next year. Railings for the rec center, that's going to be done this year. Hopefully in another 7 to 10 days, we should get that going. So you know that too, Councilwoman Daniele.
Thank you.
Also, the Gearing Park resurfacing of the tennis and pickleball. our vendor that was picked kind of disappeared. So we went to the second bidder. They said they will do it, but unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do it this year. So that's, we're going to have to push until the spring.
We'll
So-
get that encumbered too?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So that's my updates. I think I cover everything.
No, that was good. It's just, I don't know, John?
Okay. So on Thursday, September 7th, I took a ride up to Poughkeepsie, and I met with representatives from Empress, and they are handling our ambulance service in the Rondout Ambulance District. On Monday, 9/11, attended both ceremonies, both in the village and the town. On Thursday, 9/14, had a meeting with Ozzy, and then the Finance Department, Sharon and Olympia, along with representatives from Empress to discuss ambulance service in the Rondout Ambulance District. That night, I attended the planning board meeting. Saturday, 9/16, I volunteered at the Fishkill cleanup day at the Highway Department, and I want to thank John Lucarello, who's here tonight, and the Highway Department employees, the Fishkill cadets for assisting with directing traffic, and the employees from Royal Karting who were outstanding with our residents. Also, I have had several meetings over the last couple of weeks regarding budgets and ambulance service. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Sir? Excuse me. Sir? I got it, Brian.
Okay.
No. Your turn.
Little decorum. It was great being at the townwide cleanup. I did get there at 7. I didn't see you and you until later. Excuse me. Carmine was even later. But I was proud of the cadets, and I was very proud of Mr. Lucarello being there early to help things get set up. It was a great service. It cost the town money, but it was a great service for the town to get rid of your junk and your confidential papers that you need to shred. So, yes, the cadets were there in great mass, and we'll have a better control of that next year, but it was great that they are there. This Sunday, of course, yes, the Rondout pancake breakfast, I will be there. And a couple of words about the 9/11 ceremony. I was very proud of our police were there. Virgil spoke on behalf of veterans. Ozzy, I know you're going to talk about the speakers that you put on the spot and spoke at the 9/11 ceremony. But I was very proud also of our cadets that were there, and I asked a next generation person to talk about what 9/11 means to them, because, you know, old folks talk all the time about this, but what does the younger generation feel? And Winter Ross was representing the cadets, and she gave some really outstanding remarks, very, very, very intelligent and very emotional, and I thought a great job. So I want to give a shout out to her, and that's it.
That's all you got? All right. So I just want to follow up with what you just said about the 9/11 ceremony. We had 2 Fishkill residents who served at 9/11 that spoke. Joseph Fortis was a paramedic with the New York Fire Department, and William Laham was with the New York City Police Department, and they both spoke on the spot, and they did a great job. I'd like to thank both of them for speaking, and it's good to bring these 9/11 ceremonies back to the town of Fishkill. There was quite a few years that we didn't do anything. In the last 3 years, we've had ceremonies along with our Veterans Day and Memorial Day honors ceremonies that were also lacking in the last few years. So I was glad to bring back Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and 9/11, and I thank all the board members for attending. I'd just like to follow up with Carmine and Louise about the parks. We've seen a massive transformation with the improvements of the parks in the town of Fishkill. For years, this town was geared for the developers to run the town, and accommodations were made for them. Carmine mentioned tomorrow we're going to be doing paving for Jean Van Pelt Park, which is by the Washington Avenue Bridge. Me and Carmine worked with the county, and they're going to do paving, and we're today going to add some paving so we can complete the entire paving of the parking lot. Next year, we're going to redo the deck, and we worked with the county to use the stone to line the creek. We're going to have a boat ramp, a small boat ramp right there, so if you have a canoe, a kayak, or a paddleboard, you're going to be able to get in right there. So that park alone is going to be magnificent very soon. Shepherd's Park, we did a lot of improvements working with Fishkill Little League. We built a new fence. We've worked with them to provide concessions, refuse, and a much better atmosphere in the Shepherd's Park. What's that? Yeah. There was one? Yeah, toilets too. We brought portable toilets in Shepherd's Park. Doug Phillips Park. We've got Louise and Carmine working hard and diligent. We took over a dilapidated tennis court. We did the pavement. We fenced it in. Half of it's going to be an accessory park. When you guys see this is going to be phenomenal. No one else in the area has anything like this. The other half is going to be for a pickleball court, but when they paved it, it's got some little low spots. We have to flatten that out, and we're going to make sure that's done properly. Also, when they excavated the old blacktop for the old tennis court, Carmine worked with the Buildings and Grounds crew, and in that area, they made a little ramp to the creek in that area where you can have a paddleboard, a kayak, or a canoe and go in the creek that way. And the renovations in the Doug Phillips parks are pretty spectacular. We named a new park on 9D, and we got Gearing Park going too, and we plan on paving all the park roads, especially Gearing, Doug Phillips, and Shepherd in the near future, especially with added drainage on there. The rec roof, Carmine's absolutely right. All of a sudden, they're concerned about earthquake and wind loads, and we have to make those accommodations. But we're earmarked that money, and that's going to go back to Gearing Park. All those tennis courts are going to be redone. We're going to leave a couple for pickleball also, and we're going to do the basketball courts there too. So there is so much going on with the parks in the town of Fishkill. I think the residents of Fishkill should be proud of all the efforts that this town board has made to accomplish that. So I thank all the board members for participating in all that. Now we'll go on to presentations. I don't think we have anyone. Discussions. Discussion of proposed extension of tax exemption agreement for, what? Oh, I apologize. I had Greg go to the DOT thing a couple days ago. Can you say what you did representing me? This is my assistant, Greg Totino.
Thank you, Supervisor, council members. Yesterday, I attended the meeting of the Dutchess County Transportation Council. The town is a participating and voting member of that council, and since 2021, I have been serving as the supervisor's designee to attend those meetings. Yesterday was a voting meeting, so it was held in person at the FDR Library and Museum in Hyde Park, a beautiful spot, and it was a very frank, friendly, and productive conversation. The council voted on a number of items which will be bringing and allocating transportation funding into Dutchess County, specifically for services provided by the MTA and by Dutchess County Public Transit. The council also voted to distribute other unallocated funds both to Dutchess County and to other transportation providers in the Hudson Valley, including Ulster and Orange County. And for a reason which I have not yet quite learned, also to the state of New Jersey, because a portion of northern New Jersey is included in our general region of metropolitan transportation as defined by the federal government. Supervisor Albers specifically asked for me to put in some words with Mark DeBald, who is the director of the Transportation Council, and with our regional director from the DOT, who I was able to speak with for about 5 minutes after the meeting came to a conclusion. Specifically, I spoke with him regarding the ongoing traffic situation at Route 84 and Route 52, with the faulty, from our perspective, signals that are causing considerable traffic backup along Route 52. I explained in detail the situation that we're dealing with, and he at the time gave me verbal assurance that they would get on it right away. This morning I received email confirmation that they have engineers who are taking a look and ordering new components for their camera system today, and they're hoping to begin installation on a new camera system to control the signals as soon as tomorrow. So hopefully this solution will be more long-lasting than the attempt that they made last time, and he has invited us to contact him personally if there are any further issues with that particular interchange. Similarly, I conveyed at Supervisor Albra's request the town's repeated inquiry into the status of the Route 9D and Route 84 interchange. Both the DOT and Dutchess County have said publicly on the record at the meeting yesterday that they are taking the matter seriously and that they are looking to try and bring funding either through New York State or through the infrastructure bill, which allocates money to the state to look at solutions for the 8490 interchange in the near future. They recognize that the overpass there is nearing the end of its life and that any type of replacement will need to account for the additional traffic volume, which is a reality at that intersection and has been for some time. So I can report that good news to the board, and if there's any further development or I receive further communication from DOT or the state regarding either of those interchanges, I'll be happy to keep the board posted.
Anybody have a question for Greg?
No, I just have a statement that the last couple of weekends on a Saturday is when the lights malfunction.
Yeah.
And I sat there for an hour. 3 cars went through, red light. 20 cars go through, red light. It was like
Not consistent.
frequency
No.
wasn't there. And then if you guys want to have a hot dog, go see Mike at the hot dog stand. And we just sat there and he was just showing me every issue, because every day he looks at it. We just sat there and watched it for about an hour and a half 2 days ago. I was like, you're right, it's terrible.
Especially coming from Beacon. That's the worst part. Thank you, Greg.
One last question.
Oh,
Sorry. I just got inspired. So I did a ride around with one of our police concentrating on that, and I understand that calls were made to DOT about it a while ago. They had one solution, and I heard that all this equipment that they have to replace is because, was it electrical shock? Was it struck by lightning? Is that what eventually caused it to go out, or what?
During my
What did
conversation
you hear?
yesterday, the
Yeah.
director doesn't have any firsthand knowledge of the situation. That would have been, information determined by the engineers who were assigned to it. But he indicated that there are a number of factors which can contribute to those sequences being thrown out of timing. For instance, if there's regular pedestrian use, pedestrians pressing the crossing signals, which are located near the intersection, can on occasion lead to a malfunction or a miscommunication on the timing systems for the signals at that intersection. But he said that the only way to really determine it would be for the engineers to take a look at it. He said that they were doing some diagnostics and believed that they had isolated the particular problem and that it was with one of their cameras, which is designed to provide a sensor and basically indicate when traffic volume requires the light to remain green or when it's appropriate to cycle and give a green direction for other different directions of traffic. And he's hopeful that the work will be completed, or at the very least begun, as early as tomorrow, and that this repair will be a lasting one, which will ease that particular traffic problem.
They should stay until it's done.
Greg, appreciate you representing the town up there. All right, now discussions, proposed extension of tax exemption agreement for Horizons at Dogwood. Louise, any update on that?
So my last email from Ken regarding Dogwood was that he would contact me when they finished doing the list of items that we created for him to fix. I just emailed him today, but I haven't heard back yet. Carmine went and met with him and has helped them progress towards satisfying us. Ken is working on creating language in the agreement that satisfies Carmen and I regarding the yearly inspections and consequences of what would happen if they do not keep up with the maintenance of the building. So we look forward to hearing back from him soon to see if he's completed the tasks that he has promised that he would have finished this past week. And then we'll take it from there and go back and visit, and I'll follow up once we do that.
I've asked to go, when you go, Carmine, and to inspect when things are done, so I'm still waiting for that communication.
So if I may, so what I did is I independently went over there like I do at the complexes that I work out in the town in the Fishkill, and did an assessment of what's wrong and what's a trip hazard, what's a safety, eye poker, potential ankle twister, and we went through the whole property. And they were very accommodating. I assessed it. We made a list. He said he was going to be on it right away. And what we're going to do is, once he's finished, Louise and I and Ken are going to do a walkthrough, and an hour later, Brian and John and Ozzy, you guys are welcome to come. And we'll do 2 walkthroughs, make sure they met our standards, and check off the checklist.
Madam Clerk, table this to the next, the 2nd November meeting. Thank you, ma'am. Next up is discussion of merging Highway Department and Buildings, Grounds, and Parks. I'm going to read a couple memos about merging these two departments, and then I'll let the public speak. There's a gentleman that want to speak about this. To Carmine Estevan, members of the town board, merger from Brandon Knapp, the current Buildings and Grounds Department head. Carmine and I have had numerous conversations as to a possible merger of the Highway Department and the Buildings and Ground Department. To summarize these conversations, we both understand and recognize the value associated with the merger and a combined effort to improve the productivity and efficiency. We both believe numerous town operations can be transformed into operational-based and task-oriented assignments. The manpower and equipment can be altered and devised to lessen the effects of a duplication of similar equipment, as well as utilizing manpower to duplicate similar tasks that will reflect more efficiency. My department has met to discuss the expectations, opportunities, and redistribution of the tasks from previous responsibilities. We have a consensus of support and recognize the future goals of combining the departments. We are looking forward to a new hybrid department with new opportunities for each employee. We have a desire to improve training operations and have opportunities for advancement for all employees. We support the efforts of Carmine. We support the efforts Carmine has planned to conduct in the combination of our departments. I have a citizen who also wrote a letter, I'll read it, to the town clerk on the 18th. It's from Robert McGavery, a Fishkill resident. Excuse me. I'm writing today to kindly ask that this email be read and placed into the town's minutes regarding to the topic, discussion of merging Highway Department and Buildings and Grounds Department. That is on the town agenda for today. Speaking as a resident of Fishkill the entire my life, overseeing and understanding what is involved in the day-to-day operations of one of the largest multi-dwelling complexes in Fishkill over the past 18 years, in addition to my professional job duties of 27 years plus, I unequivocally support Councilmember Carmine Estevan's idea of merging the town of Fishkill Highway Department with the Buildings and Grounds and Parks Department into one department for the multiple reasons I will continue to outline. First off, within the day of November 7, 2023, Councilman Estevan will become the town highway superintendent-elect and officially assume the positions on January 1st. Councilmember Estevan is running unopposed for this position, not due to the lack of any formal challengers, but because of his vast knowledge and experience that he will be bringing to this position. It goes unmatched. Councilmember Carmine Estevan holds over 30 years of collective experience in the private sector, doing the exact work that he proposed merging. During the last 23-plus years alone, Carmine has been the CEO of his own company, Eastern View. Being a successful businessman, he knows what it takes to get the job done, run a business, and most importantly, remain focused on the customer. Secondly, Councilman Estevan, his idea of marrying the two departments make great business sense for the town, and for the following reason: it simplifies the business, eliminates overlap where it exists, it increases the pool of available employees, it frees employees to do more assignments that their skill sets match and give them a greater edge for career advance, which reduces the number of turnover, which greatly assists the town in the long run. In conclusion, the town of Fishkill residents should be extremely grateful to have the caliber of such person as Carmine become the town highway superintendent. I have no doubt that Carmine's idea presented to the town residents as a referendum and a ballot that would pass with a majority. I encourage the entire board to join me to submit a yes vote in favor of Carmine Estevan's request. Would you like to speak?
Hi, I'm Fred Cantor. I'm a Fishkill resident and been with Fishkill Little League for 54 years. And I can tell you, we used to be under the supervisor. I don't know where it came from that they automatically put parks in there, but I will tell you the service went downhill at that point in time. There are things we've even asked the Parks Department to put up in the last couple of years, which is dog signs. Anybody see a dog sign up at the fields? Yeah? And people come over to us all the time and say, why are you letting those dogs in the fields? Well, they have nothing to stop them from going on, all right? Over the years, when we needed something to get done, they did it, and because it was a combined service, they could do our fields on the weekend because they had some people standing by to do the fields, and that's our big day, you know, and don't forget, we're all volunteers. So anything we do, we have to get someone out there to do it. Right now, we have one person doing it, and he's the gentleman behind me, and he's doing it 7 days a week, and he's a volunteer. And it should really be a highway, or it should be the parks, or in the future, the highway department doing the work. I can also tell you, when we had to put sod down, the highway department went and put it down for us. All right? Again, we're a volunteer, we do need the help, all right? The town did give us a machine, but again, we need somebody to operate it. If they could do it, you know, the machines once a day in the morning or sometime, that would be a great help to us. Any questions?
We love Little League.
There is a sign there.
All right, discussion. Brian?
I mean, I obviously have had a lot of conversations with Carmine. I don't think, about this merger, I don't think anybody had any hesitation about the positive turn this could be for both departments and for the town and for the citizens. I'm not taking anything away from our present superintendent and all the work that all highway has done and the parks and everything else. It's just this is a vision that Carmine has, and I agree with it. I think a lot of us do as well. I just read this packet, of course, and the information in there, and what you wrote, Carmine, to the supervisor on the merger. Of course, it's going to expand the breadth of services provided. It's going to make us even more effective with snow removal. I mean, we can go down the list, on efficiencies, cutting out duplication, savings on equipment purchases. And the thing that came to my mind is the term Kaizen, which is, I work with engineers that would help work with manufacturers in their processes on continual improvement. And that's a term that was developed in a process developed in Japan, and I think GE brought it to the U.S. And so this is like I see a Kaizen going on at Highway and in this merger all the time, continuous improvement. I know it's going to happen. And I do like also the note, which I think goes to your thoroughness on the trainings for entry level recruitment will show a path towards moving up and promotion. I think that will help give young people an opportunity to come in and look at a career with Highway, and certainly I think there's so many aspects of this. I'm very much in favor of this and excited for the residents.
John?
The timing is right to make this move. Carmine has been proactive, meeting with other towns, gaining knowledge on how other towns operate. Other towns have these merged services as well, and he is obviously very qualified. So this is going to be good news for the residents of Fishkill. Should be good news for the town board going forward.
Louise?
Are you doing a presentation?
I am. After you speak, you do it.
It doesn't matter, whatever, I can speak first if you want. So I know Carmine wanted me to tell him what I was going to say beforehand, but I think it's important to speak in public and be transparent. So I originally thought that the merging of these two departments was a good idea, but I've been thinking about it over the past few months, and I'm no longer convinced that it is a good idea. My concerns are that you haven't been elected yet, and you have already been involved in making changes to the budget to accommodate this move. You said you didn't want to discuss the highway department last meeting, because you weren't the superintendent yet, but here we are discussing and possibly voting on it tonight. So will there be a new name for the department, or will you just be in charge of both of them? I have concerns about salary inequities that will be created with this merger. This has been an issue of mine since I first came onto the board. We still do not have specific starting salaries, step increases, performance evaluations, which leads to some people getting more than others and others getting less. If you attempt to do this merger now, those will be exaggerated and will create inequities that cannot be balanced and possibly not sustainable based on the financial health of our town. In my opinion, it is premature to make managerial decisions in a department that you do not manage yet. And I really have been thinking about this. And for myself personally, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to do when the current longtime highway superintendent isn't even gone yet. When I first became a sergeant on the state police, I was sent down to Somers, and a lieutenant who was older said to me, don't do anything for the first 6 months. Just sit back and observe, and then if you feel that you need to make changes, you can do them once you're in there for a while. So for myself, I'm not really in favor of it anymore.
So Councilman, can you please do your presentation?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. And first of all, I just want to say that it's very important that as I sit here as the town councilman, even if I wasn't running for superintendent, or if I wasn't the superintendent coming up, I think it's a great idea. And let me tell you why. Other towns have merged them to be more efficient, training, overlapping. And I'm just going to read my letter that I gave to the town board, you saw in the package, then I'll finish up my presentation and explain why this is a great idea. Please allow this memo to communicate my proposal for the merger of the Town of Fishkill Highway Department and its Buildings, Grounds, and Parks Department. I am submitting this proposal to the town board for its consideration, discussion, and adoption with the objective of optimizing the efficiency of the town operations and maximizing the quality of services rendered to the residents of Fishkill. Currently, the town maintains separate departments for the maintenance of town highways, buildings, grounds, and parks. These departments perform crucial work that maintain these public assets. The work performed by these departments enables residents to safely travel within the town, access central services and recreational opportunities, and enjoy the high quality of life in Fishkill. However, the technical aspects of the labor undertaken by these departments is fundamentally very similar. There is a considerable overlap of basic employees in these departments possess, and the department often rely on similar tools and equipment to conduct their work. Likewise, with much work being performed outside, the physical demands of the two departments are very similar. A merger of these two departments under one organization hierarchy would enable the town to streamline the operation of these departments and expand the breadth of services provided. As an example, I would refer to the town board to mowing practice by the town employees. At the present time, both the highway department and building and grounds deploy a crew for mowing. A merger would utilize a single dedicated crew for mowing, freeing in extra employees to perform other critical functions. Likewise, combining both departments will increase capacity, manpower, and for certain situations such as snow removal and debris clearing during snowstorms or other severe weather incidents. A merger will necessitate a thoughtful organization of combined department hierarchy to ensure employees are being deployed in an efficient manner, with a clear outline of department roles and responsibilities, which may increase or alter the responsibility of some employees or crews. As an example, I would refer to the town board to the maintenance of equipment. While the highway department has a dedicated mechanic, building and grounds department does not. Meaning after a merger, the mechanic will be maintaining the equipment currently used by both departments, since it will become a single department, potentially saving lots of money. The combination of departments will enable each department to enjoy the benefits of designated staff who can provide support service to the entire combined department. In addition to the mechanic I previously mentioned, the highway department currently has a secretary, a staff position not currently assigned to the buildings and grounds. So communication sometimes doesn't get to the buildings and grounds because it goes through our clerk's department. A merger means that calls, correspondence, and other communication intended for the building and grounds department can be received and processed immediately, potentially leading to faster response to requests and improved level of communication. This proposed merger serves two additional benefits. A certain aspect of highway work requires technical skills and experience. Combining two departments creates a pathway for growth and promotion, especially for employees serving under a buildings and grounds umbrella. The training and work experience they will receive will qualify them for promotions for more senior positions within the highway as time goes by, creating incentives for employees and retention. Like the building ground is like the farm team for the highway. Likewise, a clear path for career growth is an excellent tool for recruitment for new staff, especially to an entry-level position where we require little experience. Both offer the chance for an employee to learn new skills and move to a better position over time. This merger carries an added benefit in enabling the town to possibly expand the scope of function it performs. I would like to make it clear, this merger will not in any way involve the elimination of any position. Employees in the two departments will simply work together under a simple department name. However, since the two departments do have staff members who perform duplicate functions, such as Melanie, as examples I raised, employees may see some of their regular duties change, including possibly identifying new tasks and functions the town has not been able to perform previously. To conclude, I am the strong opinion that the merger of the Highway Department and Building and Grounds and Parks Department will deliver quality improvements, will save time, improve our town facilities, parks, and roads, increase our manpower for crucial functions, enhance performance and efficiency, and better serve the residents of the town of Fishkill. I look forward to discussing this matter further with the town board, and working together to achieve a merger will be a benefit for the whole entire town.
Thank you, Carmine.
The town board, just a couple of things that I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time doing my due diligence with this. I spent time with other superintendents, parks, and most important, so everybody to understand, I spent a lot of time with our Parks Department. I sat them down. I want to know how they thought about the merger. They bought into this. As you can see, the head of the Buildings and Grounds knows for almost the 2 years I've been the town councilman, I never polarized anything. I kept straight, nothing. I helped them out every aspect possible. When Councilwoman Daniele or any of these town board, or when the supervisor gave me an objective or directive, it was done immediately. I'm there, and imagine if I'm doing this full time. It's a great point for promotion within the Building and Grounds, and yes, I talked to Glenn about this too. I talked to everybody possible to get the pros and cons. Glenn says to me, he laughs at me, he says, "You're adding more work to yourself?" I said, "Yes, Glenn, that's who I am. I want to do what's best for this town to save taxpayer dollars, and any tax dollars that are saved, I'd rather now go to the employees for potential training and promotions and better experience, and what that gives to the residents is a better quality of our parks, grounds, our roads, our plowing." My experience, everybody, a lot of people who don't know me, and I'm sorry to hog up a lot of time because this is very important, 30 plus years I've been doing snow removal and landscape construction. 23 years as Eastern View Landscaping. I built one of the largest private landscape companies in the Hudson Valley. In Fishkill alone, I planted over 20,000 shrubs and plants. I planted over 1,800 trees. If you look at almost every private community in Fishkill, most likely Eastern View, Carmine has touched it in one way or another. I'm proud to say that because I plowed 40 plus miles of road on every snowstorm, 10 plus miles of sidewalk every snowstorm. I'm bringing wealth of experience. No one can ever fill Glenn's shoes. Glenn has been there for 50 plus years. There's some big shoes to fill. Even though I'm a size 10 and a half, he's a size 14. He's a great man. He's loved by many. He's there for me, he told me today, I'm there for you anytime. There's a learning curve. Of course there is. I will learn. I will bring the employees, give them direction. Just a little time I was able to spend with Brandon in the last almost 2 years. I can't believe it's been 2 years. He grew, he understands the process. I think collectively, no matter who's on a town board, I think the town board should see that the Building and Grounds should report to someone with a wealth of knowledge. Report to me makes more sense than reporting to a town board that can change every 2 years. There's a constant rotation. So my thing is, thank you for listening to me. I think this is a great idea. I have due respect for everybody, and I covered all bases and respected everybody in this process. And I asked each town council person, tell me your pros and cons, and so I can work on it. If I didn't feel that was good to bring forth, I wouldn't bring this forth. I wouldn't even brought it up.
What gave you the idea to do this?
Just like anything, as I analyze everything, I think when
When did those discussions begin and with who?
we discussed it immediately. We started discussing immediately, and, in the first couple of months, I married Image Ozzy. They called me Ozzy Jr. a couple of times. Because I wanted to know, married everything he did, I want to see everything he did. I learned. And then what I did is, I was the liaison for the buildings and grounds. I want to learn everything that they did. And what I did is try to work it where, okay, how can I make it better? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make the employees happier? The employees are the backbone of this operation. If the employees are happy, we get better quality of service. And the employees are happy with the leadership, it just, trickles down. You get a better quality across the board.
Thank you for accepting the challenge.
Just one last tiny thing. I mean, I'm the liaison of Highway, and, I mean, when I would go over and have a meeting, it would come up that Carmine's been through, and look, and I thought, well, just make him liaison. He's over here all the time. But the thing is, that's what you were doing. You're absorbing, and evidently you had this vision early on, and I know that you did everything completely respectfully, and, it's just well thought out. I think it's just a great idea.
Okay, very good. We'll that for a resolution. Go ahead.
He read it.
You read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go to item number 3, ID 8859, discussing the resolution. Yes, sir.
I apologize. Just real quick, I did a quick visual. This is the current buildings and grounds, how the structure looks. That's the organizational, if everybody can see that. That's how it looks right now. Building ground, you have Brandon Knapp, working supervisor, then you have the crew underneath him. If you go to the next slide, you'll see how the highway is set up. You have your mechanic, your superintendent, Glenn Schofield is the current highway superintendent, and then you have John Lucarella, highway department working supervisor, and you have the highway department working foreman, Dean Schofield, and their crews underneath them, and we're missing a part-time and a full-time that's going to get filled in there. But the guys to the left, Danny Burke and Gary Bartolucci, they're both floaters. So that's how the organizational chart looks there. If you go to the next slide, that's how it's going to look if it's merged. Still the departments, the department head or the leader, or the working supervisor is still in charge of their crew. The mechanic and the confidential secretary to the town highway superintendent will report to the highway superintendent, and you can see that the structure really doesn't change much at all. It's just another level of service that the secretary, myself, can actually help each working supervisor to do their task. And last slide, and just bullet points, just to conclude. Quality of service will increase for residents. No more duplication of functions. Unnecessary costs will be reduced. Larger pools of employees to deploy during snowstorms and other weather incidents. Clear department roles and responsibilities. Better communication, clarity within the departments, with other departments and with residents. More promotion opportunities for buildings and grounds and highway. And when I get into highway, we are going to do steps, and I will explain that once I am elected as a highway superintendent. Merger departments means fewer barriers, resulting in better service for all residents.
Thank you, Carmine. All right, we done?
And we're done.
All right. Resolution. Beck. All right, next up is item number 8859, discussion of resolution to set the public hearing for the 2024 preliminary budget. I'm basically done with the budget. We're looking for the first time in many years for a tax cut. I just asked the board members, if you want to do something, it's either going to have to be offset within the budget or use some town reserve funds or raise taxes. I'm not going to do that. So once I present the budget, we'll have the controller here, and we'll hash this out at the first October board meeting. We'll make all our changes, and if everybody's okay with it, we'll vote on it on the 18th, and then once we get that done, we'll be able to cancel the 3rd October meeting and possibly the 1st November meeting if you'd like. So if you guys have any changes that you want to make, let me know. Yeah.
So when are we setting the public hearing for?
October 18th.
Okay.
So you
want to vote on the budget that night?
Yes.
For
And this way we'll have to have the 3rd October meeting.
October 18th.
Yeah, Supervisor Albert is referring to the optional 3rd meeting for October, which is penciled in for the 25th. That meeting is not currently scheduled, but could be in the event that it is necessary. Obviously, the board will hope to get this accomplished without needing that, therefore you won't need to schedule that meeting.
So we're looking at our next town board meeting, whatever you guys want to do, let's do at that meeting. That's all I'm saying. Any questions? And we're going to be voting on the capital plan too, on the same day. All right? And if you guys are feeling generous, we can get rid of that first November meeting too. So set that for, I think I got that in consent, right? That's in consent?
Yep.
All right, good. Thank you, guys. Next up is ID 8857, discussion of amending peddling solicitation permit application to streamline the process. So I was out on my listening tour and what'd you say?
Oh, I thought it was Becky's. I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought it was Becky's.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
So discussion of amending the peddling soliciting permit application. A couple years ago, we had a lot of problems with tow trucks not being licensed, health department issues, make sure people didn't get sick. So we put a pretty comprehensive plan into effect, but it's discouraging people from applying.
Why, I mean...
Wait, what are you talking about?
How
This is
many
for-
are discouraged?
This is for peddling and soliciting permits.
Yeah,
I read
It's
that, I'm
not
like...
for- This is not for a tow truck situation.
Hold on.
So this has nothing to do with that.
I'm just curious, how many people are
Yeah,
discouraged?
this would be something that the clerk deals with, amending peddling and soliciting
Hold on a
permits.
second, Greg, what is it, the food trucks?
Yes, this is the permit that any individual who has a food truck or other non-permanent location business, peddler, solicitor, et cetera. Food trucks are the most common application which the town receives for that. There have been complaints forwarded or fielded by the supervisor's office regarding the length of the application, that it is simply too large and cumbersome, and that certain vendors are shying away from completing that process.
So what I'd like to do is have the town attorney review it to see if it can shrink it. Can you do that for us?
Yeah, we've started looking at it already, as a matter of fact. What you have now is kind of a one-size-fits-all.
your stuff.
And you might want to break it down so that food trucks, for example, have a different one. The code requires certain information be given. Other information is given in the application, which isn't specified in the town code. So we'll take a look at it, we'll prepare a memo, we'll get it back to you. And as far as the permit itself, we can make recommendations as to what should be in there, but we don't really have the graphics to change your code form, so we're going to need some help with that.
Okay,
Can I just ask, how many, just out of curiosity, how many people complained?
quite a few.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
what, 5,
So what
10?
I was up in Round Hill, and a couple of years ago, they were having the food trucks, and there was a lot of people attending it, but then some of these food trucks didn't have permits. Then we got the permit process. Then, when the building inspector wasn't around, we couldn't enforce it. Then we gave the power to the police to enforce it. And it just kept being a law upon law upon law, and it got a little too cumbersome. So these tow trucks, I apologize, the food trucks decided not to bother with it, and those residents are not getting that benefit. So they like to get that benefit back. And I think if we can streamline this process, at least we can show some due diligence that we're trying to help them out. And with the graphics, I can get Greg to do graphics with you, not a problem.
Didn't we change something just to streamline it a few years ago?
No.
Yes, I believe we did. Yeah, so,
I think we made it more strict.
I don't know about that, but I would ask that we include the town clerk, since this is her purview,
Okay.
to make
We'll
sure
work with
that
town
she
clerk.
has input on it, since it's really going before
What we
her.
did is we waived the fee for veterans.
Fee for
No,
veterans,
there was
that's it.
something else that we did.
Yes.
Yeah, there was something else.
So this development, it's a condo association, but the main road is a town road. Can we issue a permit or waive a permit so they can just park on the streets and have events? Can we do that?
You want to make for food trucks, the
Yes.
ability to do that? It's a town road?
Yes.
I don't see why not.
Because what's happening is there's other complaints that they're parking in the parking lot where the pool is, the community pool, and then people can't get to the pool. That's another complaint.
Yeah.
So there's multi-people complaining about the same thing. on both
Supervisor,
sides. Yeah, it's a good one.
So to let you know that that's on a HOA where we have no jurisdiction.
No, I got that, but we can make it better for the food trucks, and to accommodate, instead of parking in the parking lot, we can let them park on the street.
So they might be more inclined to do that than...
Yes,
parking lot.
and maybe we get more trucks.
And it could be a traffic hazard.
Yes. So, Mr. Gaba, please work with the clerk and Greg on that. So we'll table this to the second November meeting. Next up is discussion of proposed development project in the village of Fishkill. Louise?
Oh, do you want to go first?
Excuse me?
I didn't know, you wanted me to go first?
Yeah, ready?
That's fine. Discussion of proposed development in the Village of Fishkill. I have had many constituents reach out to me and ask that we speak up on behalf of them at the continuation of the public hearing tomorrow at the Village Hall for the proposed high-density housing development at Jackson and Main. Reviewing this project has been different from the previous one we were asked to get involved with the Church of the Nazarene. I believe I was able to find more information on that project because the church actually had a website and was transparent regarding explaining what they wanted. Even if we didn't agree with it, they were transparent. For this project, it has been difficult for me to inform myself because the meetings are not recorded and the information is not readily available to citizens. I have had to rely on those citizens that have done the legwork through FOIL requests to understand where we are at now. I have been told by many that this is something that, quote, can be put in because their village code has it, so that there isn't anything that we can do. I've also been told that this is, quote, a done deal. Nothing is ever done until it's really done. I am concerned about whether those changes were done properly with notification and documentation and necessary votes to make zoning changes and comprehensive plan changes. But this is something I cannot really be involved in, that is outside of my scope, but is questioned by many. I was asked to speak about the size of the development. The planning board has the power to say they don't think it should be as big as they suggested. Even Councilman Rye agreed it was way too big, and I agree with him. So I suggest that they reduce the size. My other concern is the change of the 20-foot buffer zone to 10 feet. I'm not sure how this isn't a variance request. This just shows that there is no regard for the residents right next to this development. The developer should be good neighbors and respect that encroaching on residents' privacy is unnecessary. That buffer reduction should not be approved. Along with cutting down so many of the trees will create not only noise pollution, but now all the longtime residents will have to look at a large development, which takes away from the charm of the village that they moved to so many years ago. They were not happy when the old building was torn down and the very old tree, and they realize that development happens. It just doesn't have to be so big where it dramatically changes the charm of the village. Some have also asked me why there wouldn't be any shops on the bottom and the apartments on the top, as I believe that was originally suggested. Having ground-level apartments on Main Street without large setbacks doesn't make sense and was questioned by the county as well. But the thing that is most troubling for myself and those in the town and village residents and those of the town and village residents that live in the back of the roads is that they will travel through every day is traffic. To have a traffic study completed and not believe that this will create more traffic at that intersection is unbelievable. This intersection has been an issue for many years with a rating of an F. It seems that adding so much more to it is not a good idea. Increased traffic itself should be a reason to have a positive declaration instead of a negative declaration. Instead, I have heard from some that no further study will be done, and it is unnecessary. I'm sure if it was being built in their backyard, they would have a different view. So I will encourage the village planning board to look further into options that can help show that the post-development conditions will be equivalent to pre-development. In other words, make sure that you are not making it any worse than it is. They need to get more input from the state DOT. State Route 52 traffic in the village of Fishkill affects every single one of us. So I haven't written a letter because I just haven't had time to. Instead, I will say everything I've just expressed here at our public meeting tomorrow at their public hearing in the village. I wanted to say it at our meeting because we record our meetings. The village does not. If any board member agrees with me and would like me to mention their name in agreement with what I'm reading, please let me know. With each project and more vehicles, it is only a matter of time before the village of Fishkill is gentrified and starts to look like the city of Beacon. If you choose to be involved or not, that is your decision, but I will speak for the constituents in the village and the town who have asked me to get involved. I was elected to represent all of our constituents, not the GOP or the developers.
Okay, well, Louise, I'll silence your letter.
Thank you.
I have another alternative.
Yes.
Greg, can you pass the room?
Well, whatever
No, you
alternative
spoke,
you...
Louise, you spoke.
No, I'm just saying, like, this is
Yeah,
mine.
but-
Yeah, if you want to do
let-
anything else, you
if-
can.
If I was you,
That's fine.
Louise, let them do what they want to do. If
Right.
you want to do
Do what
something
you
different.
That's
absolutely.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is different.
But you do what you want to do.
That's what I just said. Nobody's forced to do anything
Exactly.
with myself. You can actually think for yourself.
Just whatever we decide to do together is that, make sure we're consistent, because Beacon's coming up 52, and they're proposing doing a lot of the residential of where the old car dealerships are. So if we should be proactive and have something that the supervisor can always send that represents all of our stands on issues like this, I think being proactive instead of being reactive is the best way to proceed.
I agree with you. I read that article on that development coming up from City of Beacon, and that's going to be a major concern. The town of Fishkill surrounds the village, surrounds City of Beacon, and, you know, we don't have control. Louise said it, and it's true. They are governed by themselves. They're an autonomous body with their own governance, and, you know, we're respectful of that. And but still, nonetheless, I'm a block away. I've worked way before I was elected on combating 2 developments. We were successful on one, but I am very concerned because I see more than a lot of people. I have a little mini highway in front of my house at certain times of the day, and so obviously this is on my mind, but respectfully, this was drafted as an alternative for whoever may want to sign on to this one. To the Village Planning Board members, please allow this letter to convey the respectful opinions of the undersigned representatives on behalf of the residents of the town of Fishkill in our capacity as council members. We understand that this board is currently considering an application for a proposed development project at the intersection of Main Street, Route 52, and Jackson Street in the village of Fishkill. This proposed development project would involve the construction of an apartment complex containing around 57 residential units on a parcel which is currently vacant. In our capacity as council members in the town of Fishkill, we have been approached by a number of residents who have asked questions or expressed concerns about this proposed development project. Many of their questions pertain to traffic and the effects this project would have not only on the village, but on the residents of the town of Fishkill and their ability to travel throughout our great communities. It is our understanding that the project applicant has submitted, among other documents, a traffic study which indicates the proposed development project will have no effect on traffic at this intersection. Despite this, many residents have conveyed their concerns to us in our capacity as town council members about the possible impact on this project on traffic in the village and the surrounding roadways in the town of Fishkill. While we do not wish to instruct you in your duties as a planning board, we do wish to simply convey to you the widespread concern amongst town residents regarding this application before your board as pertains to traffic. As elected officials, we feel obligated to the residents to communicate these concerns on their behalf and ask that you consider them along with other aspects of the applications as you perform your due diligence in your review of this matter before reaching a final determination. Respectfully. So,
Brian, who's going to read that? Who's going to bring that if you're not going to go?
no. We can certainly get it over there to them. We can email it to them and, get it to them. Unless somebody else writes a paycheck, I've got duties to perform. I'm trying to get out of it so I can go, but we have to get this over to them.
Can't Greg send it over? Have him read it into the... If you guys want him to do that, we'll send it. Greg, could you attach that to an email and send it to the mayor?
I can.
I'm sorry, the planning board, right? Who's got this?
Village.
The village planning board.
I can send that over
I
tomorrow.
believe you might have to send it to the clerk, who then sends it.
Send it to the clerk, village clerk. Okay, thank you. All right,
So
that's them.
that's whoever's doing that. So for myself, I'm reading my own and
Okay.
actually attending the meeting to speak for the people.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Louise. Thank you, Brian. Close it. Next one up is discussion of dedicating the area near the Washington Avenue Bridge. I like what legislator Yvette Valdez-Smith said, and I like that Carmine likes to take my task on to do them. So Carmine, can you work with the legislator and accomplish that task?
Absolutely.
Greg, send an email to Yvette, CC Carmine, and get them on it.
Yes, sir.
You can close this one out too. When we're ready for dedication, we'll just do it.
I'm not hearing
What was just decided? What was that?
Carmine's going to work with the legislator to get that done, on the dedication of the bridge area. Next up, of discussion of resolution to, I apologize. Discussion of resolution to accept the contractor proposed for park paving. I've been working with this Carmine. Carmine, take it over.
Yes, since the county is paving Petticoat Lane and partial of the park, we decided, so we don't have no seams when, that we do it simultaneously. So we have a nice parking lot that has nice lines going in. So the proposal is to pay the contractor to do everything all at once instead of waiting.
And what's the total?
18,000 and change.
18,170.
Yes, so this way, the road, the bridge, the park, it'll all blend in, and early next year, we'll get the new deck. This place is going to be magnificent. It's going to be truly spectacular.
It's absolutely gorgeous. If anybody has a chance, it transformed. It's beautiful.
And tomorrow, they're going to start paving.
I've walked in that park. I love that park. And you got 30 days. This proposal is good for 30 days. Carmine, in your judgment, because of your work, I mean, I understand that the equipment is already there and the materials are already there. So this must be saving us some money, I would imagine, on a future having to bid it brand new.
Yes, it's saving us time. Also, piggybacking on the other contract saves us a little bit of money. And just the quality of having it done all together. It's like having a roof. Partially, it roofed, and the other half you do later on.
Yeah.
So you do it at the same time, it's the same color, same consistency across the board.
But it's just, and I understand that, but it's just saving us money because they're already there.
Yeah, Brian, it's saving us a little bit of money.
Yeah, okay.
This is good government. This is good governing. All right, that one's in consent. Next one is a discussion of levy of unpaid water and sewer fees. That goes onto the tax bills when people don't pay their water or sewer bills, and quite a few people just do that out of convenience. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
This is crazy amounts in here, oh my God.
Go on. We'll do a resolution for the next meeting, Greg.
Okay, so,
Greg, what do we need to do for discussion for the budget at the next meeting?
We can simply have a discussion item as we have in years past.
Let's get that on the agenda.
Prepare with the town clerk, which will simply be a discussion of the 2024 preliminary budget.
And we can make changes at that meeting.
You can make changes as you like at
Okay.
that meeting, and the document can then be updated for the public hearing.
All right, get that on the agenda also, and let the controller know that she needs to be at this meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right, next up is privilege of the floor for agenda items. Anybody wishes to speak about anything regarding the agenda?
Well, Brian Rye, as I live and breathe, I appreciate your letter and your comments and actually speaking out about this project. It is, there was radio silence from two other members of the board, but I appreciate that you will be at the meeting. I appreciate that you are signing the letter, and I appreciate, Mr. Rye, that you wrote a comment. Thank you.
Ma'am? Just let us know who you are, please.
My name is Amanda Walsh-Jemin. I reside at 222 Snook Road. I would like to speak in favor of the merger of the Parks Department and the Highway Department. I spend a lot of time at our town parks, Gearin's for its playgrounds, Doug Phillips for its ball fields and its proximity to the stream there, and primarily at Shepherd Park, where I spend at least 4 days a week, more in the springtime, for the Little League functions. I serve on the Little League board as the player agent. I volunteer as a coach of the 8U baseball team, and I'm a mother of a minors 8U ball player. My father-in-law has also served as the highway foreman for Stoughton, Massachusetts for 40 years. From conversations with him, I know the knowledge that an experienced highway foreman would bring to projects to maintain the parks. For example, the correct drainage to install around the dugouts to prevent them from flooding, or how to grade the parking lots to avoid the washouts that occur with each rainstorm. I've seen over the last year a lot of maintenance work done on these fields at both Shepherd's and Doug Phillips Park. The continued maintenance of these fields requires more than the knowledge of using a lawnmower. I've seen the installation of new drainage systems increase the number of days that our fields are playable, and the new fences have ensured that the fields are clean from various issues and playable for each game. This work has improved the experiences of our more than 200 players. I would like to reiterate that I support the merger of the Highway and the Parks Department.
Thank you very much for coming, ma'am. Anybody else? Russ?
Russ O'Malley, 142 Old Road. Good evening, Supervisor Abel. Good evening, town board members. Just a question that was on liaison reports. The Shepherd Park, you said that there were supplied portable toilets for the park?
Yes.
Are those town supplied? They're owned by the town?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
No, we rent them.
Well, we rent them, but yes.
We rent porta potties.
We rent porta potties?
Yes.
What company?
I don't know.
Herring?
How's that decided?
I don't know.
Do we know how that
Bid?
is decided, what company supplies
They have to be.
porta potties? No, we don't know?
They were supplying the town for years.
Oh, and how's that, I mean, it's just traditionally, or is there?
We could certainly put that out for, look, Ray, let's put that out for bid for next year. So give other people the
Is that
opportunity
how
to
it
bid on
works,
it.
bid? Oh, I didn't
That's
know
not,
that.
usually when somebody's doing something, they stay,
And they have a
but we can always put it out for bid to get other challengers, right?
No, just,
If it's over, since this would be purchased, it would be $20,000 a year. It has to go out for public bid. If it's under $20,000 a year, then you just comply with your procurement policy, which says that you solicit 3 proposals for them.
It's not over
I don't know whether that's
20,000.
being done or not, but that's.
It's not over
what's happening.
20,000. So we're gonna have to, we have to do the procurement thing.
I beg your pardon?
The procurement, but ask for 3 bids. and
Yeah,
pick.
you ask for 3 bids. You don't have to
We'll do
get
that.
3 bids.
Just a
you can
question.
Solicit 3.
That's a good question.
thank you very much.
Greg, 3, we got to get 3 bids for, to work with that with Olympia? Okay. So we need 3 bids. This way we can put it on the January agenda. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Russ. All right, anybody else? Kevin? Nothing? Sure? All right, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. What? All right, I'll make a motion. Lies. I'll make a motion to accept, I apologize. I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
John, all in favor?
Aye.
First resolution, to authorize the merger of the Highway Department and Buildings, Grounds, and Parks Department. January 1st.
Sorry, I should have said that.
All right.
Sorry, probably should, I apologize.
Effective January 1st, now therefore be resolved by the town board as follows. Section 1, all above whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby authorizes the merger of the Highway Department and the Buildings Department, Grounds and Parks Department of the main Highway Department utilizing the organizational hierarchy proposed by Councilmember Esteban, with the said hierarchy eliminating no positions within either department. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect on January 1st, 2024, conditioned upon the town board's acceptance by resolution of the organizational hierarchy chart prescribed in Section 3 of this resolution. Roll call vote.
Nay.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rye?
Yes.
Supervisor Albert?
Yes. Congratulations, Carly. Do a good job. Next up is, it's a lot of work, buddy.
Can I speak before you do the next one?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, this next up is resolution adopting the ethics disclosure form. Louise would like to make a comment before I read this off.
Yeah, it wasn't on for discussion, so
Yes.
if I can just make a comment. I'd like to speak about it before we vote. Since our last meeting, many residents have contacted me and asked if this disclosure form will be able to prove to them that Councilmember Foreman actually legally resides in the town or just uses a room in someone's house as a Fishkill address. Last meeting, he admitted to us that he has a landlord, so if that is true, he should have no problem being transparent and showing a lease to once and for all prove that he has been paying rent and he legally resides there since he has been on the board. If he pays rent, like the supervisor and I did in the 90s when we rented apartments in the Hudson View apartment complex in different years, that is what transparency is. What I believe he is doing is deceptive. We would never look down upon renters, as some have suggested we have, because we ourselves have been legal renters. So to those who have reached out to me, I can only ask Councilmember Foreman your questions. It is up for him to be transparent and truthful when it comes to the question of if he legally resides in our town. Wait, I'm almost done. The disclosure form is very brief compared to the extensive disclosure forms he has spoken about with the legislature, so this one should be no problem at all to state where he legally resides and who his employer is and their location. Thank you.
Okay. Town Board of the Town of Fishkill, a resolution adopting ethics disclosure form ID 8834. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board does hereby approve the financial interest disclosure form attached hereto. And number 2, the copies of the said form shall be kept on file in the office of the town clerk for use by all elected officials in the town. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
A roll call vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Isfan?
Yes.
Councilmember Foreman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rye?
Yep.
And Supervisor Albrecht?
Yes. We have one item for special consideration.
Wait.
We got one item for special consideration, a resolution approving the performance security agreement for the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, Inc., ID 8876. Mr. Gaba, can you give us a brief description?
The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York has been pursuing development of a support center in the town of Fishkill for some time before the planning board. And they've received site plan approval from the planning board, subject to several conditions. And one of the conditions is that they post a performance bond for $3,771,982.37. Now, under your town code, security for performance has to be posted, but you don't allow for traditional bonds. The security that's provided under the town code is in the form of a letter of credit or cash deposit. So when you submit a large amount like this, it's going to be one of the two. They've chosen to go with a letter of credit. This particular document, this performance security agreement, would be required in either case. Because what happens is, they haven't started work yet, they have to fulfill all the conditions. When they do begin work, your building department will make sure that it's done correctly. And if they fail to do some of the work, or if they do it incorrectly, then after they've been warned and then told that they have to make corrections, if they still don't, this board will be in a position to call the security, the letter of credit in this instance, and put out for bid completion of the work, whether it's paving or grading or drainage or whatever it may be. When you have such a large amount being deposited, it's very unusual to have no agreement as to the terms under which it would be called. So this is a performance security agreement. It's a form, they're pro forma forms, they're almost all the same. This one has a few parts I'll walk you through very quickly. The first identifies, part 1, identifies the site improvement work, and what it says is they're going to do everything that's on the approved site plan. Point 2, paragraph 2, is the performance security, which just says the amount of performance security that the planning board has required them to post. Here, the $3 million and change. Paragraph 3 details what happens for a default and draw on the letter of credit. And what it says is if the Watchtower fails to construct improvements in accordance with the provisions of the site plan or fails to complete the project, leaving a component of the site improvement work incomplete, then the town may draw on the letter of credit in accordance with the terms of this agreement. And B says that you're going to give them 10 days written notice saying you're in default, you haven't complied, we're going to draw down on the letter of credit. This board would then adopt a resolution drawing down on the letter of credit. 4 allows for decreases in the amount. They're posting $3,700,000 some odd and change. As the work progresses, they may come to you, and it would have to be with the blessing of the planning board and the building department, saying, we have it half finished, please release half of our performance security, let us post a $1.5 million letter of credit instead of keeping 3 in place. Frankly, I don't anticipate that'll happen. I think the work will be done fairly quickly, and but it's a possibility, and like I say, it's a form, so that's what you go with. Paragraph 5 deals with notices. It says that all notices have to be in writing. It gives the address for the town, it gives the address for Watchtower. 6 is the governing law of New York. 7 is binding effect. It says that if they sell the property, this still is binding on all their heirs, assigns, et cetera. 7, not a conveyance. This agreement doesn't give you any legal right in the property, just in the money that's being deposited with you. 9 is amendment. This agreement can't be amended except by written provision voted on by the board. 10 is the entire agreement, so nobody can say there was an oral representation and that something else is in here besides what's written. And 11 just is the representation that everybody who signs it is authorized to sign it, which is why you have to have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign it, because it has to be approved by the town board. So all this does is allow them to post a letter of credit and check off that condition with the planning board on their site plan.
And this is a recent law that we enacted in a couple of years ago, right?
I'm sorry?
The town board enacted this law a couple of years ago?
Oh, yes.
Yes, this was the law we passed when they abandoned that Cube Smart project on 8252. This is why we passed this law to prevent things like that from happening again. So you ready to move on this?
So
Everybody
let me
good?
ask a question.
Yeah.
So a performance security amount of $3,771,982.37. That's a pretty definitive amount of money. But I am sure the Watchtower is going to perform and do everything. I have no reason to doubt that. But what if they didn't? And what if we had to do a drawdown and everything else? Do they have a right to take us to court to stop us from drawing down? Or is this like an automatic thing, should we need to draw down?
No, they would have a right if you either sent them a notice saying that you're in default, you hadn't finished, for example, that particular drainage improvement. And they had finished that drainage improvement. And they said, you have no business drawing down. You could wind up in a lawsuit. It's the same thing as if a bond was posted. There can always be disputes over whether it's, but you're better off having in place a mechanism and a written statement as to how this is going to work than just having a letter of credit on file. And
I agree with you.
That's a good deal. It's good that you
it's
did this.
very, very common, and I think if you have large developments like this, you'd see these more frequently. You just don't have that many large developments.
Excellent. Resolution ID 8876. Now therefore be resolved that the town board approves the proposed performance security agreement and authorize the town supervisor to sign the same. Represent that as a motion. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new and old business. Brian?
No.
John?
Nope.
Carmine?
Just want to tell everybody thank you for the merger.
You're welcome. Louise?
Just one old. I just want to thank you to the residents who reached out to me and thanked me for bringing out the ethics law and disclosure form in order to show my continued commitment to transparency. I have filled out my disclosure form and will file it with the clerk tomorrow morning or tonight whenever she can stamp it. I challenge each of you on the board to be transparent as well and fill it out and complete it by the next board meeting.
Thank you, Louise. When is the next town board meeting, Greg?
Yes.
I just have one question since I'm in charge of these. When are they being handed out, and is there a deadline for electeds to get them to me?
In our ethics.
And I haven't
It's
filled
in
it out.
When should we do this? By January 1st? What is the date?
It doesn't have to be done till the end of the year, technically. I would think
Okay.
you want to get it done quickly, though. I mean, what's the
I would
point?
think in the name of transparency, everybody would want to do it immediately.
It's attached, I haven't been here.
I have a
so
blank one for you, yeah.
All right, and I can
Yeah.
disseminate.
Have the form ready for me tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
And as you asked, Supervisor, the next town board meeting is October 4th.
So next town board meeting is October 4th. I thank the residents for watching, and thank the residents for coming out and speaking. I appreciate it. And we're going to go in executive session. There'll be no votes or anything, and we won't be coming back to the public.
For what purpose, sir?
Purpose is personnel matters.
Personnel?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.